people, they would have heard their river, their water, and they would have understood how nasty it was. It couldn't be hot. It couldn't do the things hot water could do. It couldn't do the things cold water could do. Instead, that lukewarm water was useless. And Jesus says, and this is option number 2, Jesus says, as a church, they were spiritually useless. You see, Jesus actually said here in this letter, I wish you were either hot or cold. Now, that doesn't mean that Jesus would rather see an atheist than a lukewarm Christian. That's not what it's talking about. Jesus wants people to follow him. What he says is, you're neither hot nor cold. What's that about? Fun day here. Everyone, fun day. I actually have some batteries up here. Brandon, is this on? Test. We're having one fun day. So Jesus says, you're either hot or cold. You're neither one of those things, which means that you're useless to me. You don't have any healing properties, and you don't have any refreshing properties. I got to ask you a question. In our church, would you describe us as having healing properties or refreshing properties? Or do we fall somewhere in the middle? See, this church in Laodicea was useless to Jesus. He said, I know your deeds, but you're not doing anything to benefit anyone. You know what they are doing? They're doing church. Every Sunday they're getting together. They're doing their church thing, playing their church music, singing their church songs, greeting each other with their church handshake, smiling with their church smile, wearing their church clothes, got their church hats, their church shoes, saying they're doing fine with that church nod. They're doing the church things, but that's all they're doing. They're doing nothing to benefit the community around them. They're not healing, they're not refreshing, they're not saving people's souls, they're not giving people joy who've been wounded by former religious kinds of experiences. They're not doing anything to really benefit people. They're just simply lukewarm, going with the flow, useless. And so here's lesson number 1. Lesson number 1 is that religion has the power to hide our deepest need. See, here's Laodicea. They're doing their churchianity. They're following the book, they think. They're doing the things. This is the way we've always done it. But they missed their deepest need. Do you see what Jesus says there? In Revelation 3:17, he says, you say, I am rich, I've acquired wealth, and do not need a thing, but you do not realize that you are wretched, pitiful, poor, blind, and naked. You don't realize how bad you are. This last week I was playing Frisbee with my daughter. And my daughter has a great bravery streak in her. And I threw the Frisbee at her. And I was so proud of her. She stood there. My daughter, by the way, her name is Katie. She's 6 years old. She's about yay high. And while she was standing there, she had her hands up like this. And I threw the Frisbee. It was a direct line shot. And she was standing there like this, fearless, as the Frisbee went right over her hand and plucked her right in the face. Oh, I kind of felt bad, but I was so proud of her for just standing there and taking it, I'm like, yes! Because I'm the dad. I'm like, yes! Take it! Get the hurt, feel the burn! Whatever. But then my wife was like, oh, no! Don't ever play Frisbee with this girl again! But anyway, so now Katie's got this little bruise right here. If you see her, she's got like a little black eye. Right here, there's a little bruise under her eye. And she said to us yesterday in the car, we were driving to Dairy Queen, because they got coupons. And so we're going to Dairy Queen, and we're in the car, and Katie says this profound thing. She says, Daddy, if I don't touch my bump, I don't even feel it. But if I just brush it a little bit, it really hurts. Like 6-year-old, you're finding out the truth. Okay, if I don't touch the bump, I don't feel it. Oftentimes, religion is our way to avoid the bumps. Okay, and I'm saying that what we'll do is, we've got a lot of bumps in our lives. We've got the bumps of, I've got a lost loved one, someone who died, And I love them, and I miss them. And so we look to religion, because religion has the answers there. Religion can give us the kind of answers where it says, okay, here you go. If the person believes this set of truths and this set of doctrines, then they're going to heaven. And if you believe this set of doctrines, then you're going to heaven, and you will meet them there eventually. And so religion can give you a list of doctrines to believe, a list of rituals to perform, so that you can get that guarantee that one of these days you're going to see your lost loved one again. We've got bumps of our personal lives. You know, I have a bump that I want purpose in my life. And so here you go, I want purpose in my life. And so religion can offer me that. You know, do these things, believe this stuff, and you get a sense of purpose in your life. But here's the deal. No matter how much religion we have to avoid touching the bumps, the wounds and the needs are still there. And so Jesus says to this church at Laodicea, he says, you think you're rich. You're in a society that has all this money, and you're doing the church thing, and you've been doing the church thing, and we know that the church thing has been happening in Laodicea for decades, because the Apostle Paul actually mentions them in his letter to Colossae. When he writes the letter to Colossians, he also mentions the Laodiceans. We know they've been around for decades. They've been doing the church thing for long enough. Jesus says, you think you're doing all right, but you're wretched. You're pitiful, miserable, poor, blind, naked. And then finally, we see here that religion has a very, very dangerous additional consequence. Religion has the power to actually shut Jesus out. Jesus says here, I stand at the door and knock. If anyone hears my voice and opens the door, I will come in and eat with him and he with me. Quite often we use this verse to talk to little kids about what it means to be a Christian. And the way we talk about it is we're like, Jesus is at the door of your heart. Like there's this little tiny Jesus standing at the little tiny door of your heart. And he's knocking. And he's just knocking. Let me in. Hello? Hello? Is anyone inside? Is anyone here? Got something for you? Hello? We think Jesus is just this little tiny Jesus standing at the door of your heart, knocking. And so then we say to little kids, we'll say, you need to ask Jesus into your heart. Invite him into your heart. That's how you get saved. And so I'll talk to a lot of people, and they'll tell me, well, my brother, when he was 5 years old, he asked Jesus into his heart. Is he going to lose his salvation because now he's living this kind of crazy life? I just turn it back to people and I say, what about you?